Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of SaaS Founder Stories. I got Yaron Rosen with me today. He's the CEO of Fuse Autotech. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, good to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Well, tell me a little bit about Fuse Autotech and what you guys are doing.
Well, Fuse Autotech is an amazing company that is in the car dealership space, automotive, and we are the vertical operators of dealers. So what we're trying to do is simplify a very complex financial operation that dealers lead inside the dealership, all around their variable ops and fixed ops. It's like all these things that no one notices when they go and buy a car, only that it takes about 5 hours. And our goal is to simplify that very complex operation and turn that experience into an amazing experience and under 1 hour and much more efficient for the dealer to help him make more money. Simple as that. Point of
Very
sale
cool.
system.
Okay, and so who is your ideal customer?
So it's quite interesting because dealers are not all the same. There are about 18,000 franchise dealers, and some of them, actually, most of them are small, like single store, all the way to five. That is about 11,000, 12,000 out of 18,000. And the other 5 or 6,000 dealers are in groups. They can be small, 5, 10, 20 rooftops, all the way to hundreds of rooftops that are not only private but public companies. And so it looks like enterprise sales on one hand and just almost B2C sales when you sell to a single rooftop.
Very cool. So let's jump in and you can tell me about what's the biggest challenge you solved in the last 6 months that you want to share with the community.
I think that actually goes to what I just described because, for various reasons, when you talk to your marketing and sales team, the way you build the go-to-market strategy, you sort of think of, however you want to attack the TAM, right? You're facing the TAM, and it's not one size fits all, right? We understood that we have to approach the enterprise sales in a very sort of account-based marketing type of approach because each one of them there's a long sales cycle. And that was sort of intuitive that we have to do that. And it's actually most of where we're succeeding. The thing that we were really having, like the cycles of experimenting with the go-to-market was actually on the single rooftops, the masses. How do we build the pipeline? How do we understand what resonates in the pitch? What's their biggest pain? What's the part that will make our pitch irresistible? How do we make our product irresistible to the single dealer that needs our product? So that was the sort of the biggest challenge.
So how did you do that? Like, how did you figure that out in the end?
So we redefined the total available market into the categories. And once we sort of felt comfortable with the account-based marketing, the enterprise sales side, and we defined the storytelling end to end from the first pitch all the way down to the discussion with more and more teams inside the enterprise. It takes time to convince everyone, and then you go to the budget owner and so on and so forth. When you approach a small dealer group or a single rooftop dealer, you're basically talking to the same person that is the owner and the budget holder. So he has budget authority on the whole thing. And the budget, the sales cycle can be very quick. The thing is, you have to reach them because they are many. So the first thing was to figure out the go-to-market in the marketing and qualified. How do you qualify deal from marketing to sales? That was the first part. And then how do you run the opportunity down the sales pipeline, the demos, the session? What will pass the customer from one station to another until he says, yes, I want it, and hopefully in a 30-day period and not in a 3 month to 6 month if this is a enterprise sales side. So it's a very, very different sales cycle.
So did you have to change? Because I think that's a really interesting challenge that a lot of companies face personally. Because enterprise sales with a multi-threaded enterprise sale, it's a whole different game. And if you try to use that same methodology with, an SMB sale, we'll say, it just really like significantly reduces your deal speeds and flow, and it also increases the cost of acquisition of a customer significantly. So for you, like, what were the things, like, how did you break out what was important to say to those small, one or two rooftop outfits versus the big guys? How did you change that messaging? How did you like bring it down so you could reduce your sales cycle?
I think the biggest blocker was how we told the story of our product. So for enterprise customers, it's pretty easy to explain a very sophisticated story in the sense that because you're talking to the corporate level of the enterprise, there are people there that are very sophisticated, and there are many people that sort of take care of different parts of this challenge. And you can tell a very sophisticated story. And in that sense, we were sort of selling a whale, okay, to people that want to swallow a whale. Like enterprise, they like big projects. They want this big thing because we're not selling a little thing. We're selling a big thing. For the single roof dealer, we were trying in the beginning to sell a whale, but try to shove a whale down single person's throat. It's just, he just can't digest it. So the thing we did is we completely changed the way we tell our product story. Instead of selling a whale, we broke the whale into dolphins and sardines, if you will. And we're telling them, look, we know you have many problems. What's your biggest problem? We have a fix for this, or for this. Where's your biggest pain? We can do this for you. You want to do this first, and then we land and expand. So we completely changed the way we tell the story from selling whales to selling dolphins and sardines. And we also broke it in, pricing wise. We changed our pricing table. So the sales team has much more, maneuvering space when they talk to this person that has so many expenses, and he looks at every expense, and like $1,000, like over $1,000, it's really hard for them to take that as a quick sell. But if you go down to $9.99, even the general sales manager has budget authority inside a single rooftop for a subscription, which is $999. So we had to really, really understand what their budget authority is in this small little dealership, in this small shop. So it's almost like selling to a child or an adult, right? Like this person sees his own budget, and the child just has his allowance, and he knows he can use it or not, right?
Yeah. So how did you find out that they had that the budget under $1,000 to spend?
Well, once we sort of hit the wall, right? We just didn't go with that whale, selling the whale, selling the whale. We started asking questions like, who are we selling to, and what's his budget authority? Again, and when we came from the account-based marketing for the enterprise, from the enterprise sales level, it was very evident that we're talking to managers, high-level managers, and it was very evident that this guy is responsible for defining the need, and this guy will eventually have to pay like $100,000 each month if he needs to pay for 10, 20, 30 rooftops that he has under his management. But when you go to the single rooftop, we were sort of asking, wait a minute, maybe you just can't talk about that. So let's find out. We have people in the company that actually knew the answer to that question, but we weren't asking the right questions. That was when it was sort of the aha moment. So wait a minute, we know the answer. We just didn't look under the right rock for that problem or that answer, if you will.
So for you guys, once you realized that that's they had that budget, and when did you start to change from like we're going to solve all your problems to what are the top two problems or one problem? What's the thing you need me to solve right now? Because I think that for a lot of salespeople, and I mean I've run sales teams. The RKO is my third software company. And so the one thing that I've always found is we overcomplicate these things. And if, especially in these SMB sales where, you're talking to that one decision maker, maybe there's a second person in there, but it's super like you just need that person to say yes and you can go. What was that for you guys? Like how did you come up with that?
I think that, again, there was a moment of resolution in the sense that we suddenly understood that we need to change the resolution of our site. Like we were looking and we weren't seeing the customer with the right, in the right resolution. We
Hmm.
were sort of looking at him, at the customer as a monolithic thing, just a different customer. He's big,
Yeah.
he's small, but like these little big things, right? Of budget authority and what's my biggest problem and how one mind needs to take so many different decisions. I think the aha moment was when we were sort of looking back on the tech stack that dealers need to deal with inside their dealership. Like a dealer faces like 50, at least 50 different companies if he wants to run his business. It is absurd. Now, all these companies, every week, every month, all these vendors approach and try to sell something. And they all want to solve all of his problems. But it's just too much for him because they don't trust these vendors. They don't trust these SaaS, these startups. And everybody tells them that they're going to, solve all their problems. And what they're used to doing is, don't tell me all you're going to solve everything. Just solve this problem for me, and then we gain trust, and then we're going to expand inside because we're going to know each other, and then that's the vertical operator that we are. Because at the end, I will want every dealer to swallow my whale, but I have to show them that I can solve their biggest problem right now, which is variable ops management, which is the selling of the car. That's the biggest burden. Like it's a mess, it's archaic, it's antiquated. It's like when you see the softwares they use, you literally laugh. That's how I fell in love with this, and that's why I came to Fuse, because I stepped into a dealership, went to see what they're using, and I said, "You are effing kidding! I mean, this is unreal. I want to solve this problem," and that's how I started.
That's such a good story. Okay, man. Well, let's finish off with what can the network help you with?
Wow,
I'm gonna put you on the
cup of
spot.
coffee, cup
Cup
of
of
coffee,
coffee,
maybe. Just a glass of water.
more sales. What's that big problem? If the network could step in and solve it for you right now, they'd have a sale for you.
Wow. I think, I'm not sure exactly what to expect from this network, but I think that having the capacity to sort of share these stories in a way that, opens your eyes faster to these small and so annoying problems of how you define your go to market, because everything is about, your runway is X. And as I always say, our runway equals the number of experiments we have time to do to see that we have repeatable and scalable sales. That's everything we have. And the faster I learn the cycle, the more experimenting I can do with my go to market. So every small tip that I can get about how to look correctly at my available market with the right binoculars, if you will, like to look further down the pipeline, would be appreciated.
Well, that's a perfect ask. I love it. I think we could all do better from that because that's about the perfect analogy, man. Your runway allows you to know exactly how many iterations and tests you can run. Cool, man. Well, thank you very much for being on the show, and I'm looking forward to following your guys' story. I got a couple people that I'll make an introduction to for you, and thanks very much for being on the show, Yarn.
Thank you so much, David. It was a pleasure.